Okay, I just had a thought about what people believe, right? And because many people believe different things, some people believe in the Eastern traditions, some people believe in the Bible, some people believe that they are starseeds or in that alien races are threatening us or are gonna save us. Some believe they are from an alien planet. Some think they are just the Holy Son of God, as I do. And I just want to bring these things together. The times where you judge each other and you think the other one's wrong are really gone. It's not necessary anymore because the end goal is the same, right? The end goal is you are saved. The end goal is we are saved. We are released from our chains and we finally realize that we are one and that there is no threat out there. And so I want to talk about myself. I just discovered that I'm an Andromedan starseed, right? I always wondered why I'm so weird. And now I know, like, that's exactly the description that suits me, right? It's exactly the description, the freedom I crave, the ocean I crave, the distance to other human beings I feel at times. That's exactly what I've been living. And it was my choice, although I didn't even know consciously about that choice. I just learned that that's a thing, and that there might be other people like me out there under Andromedan starseeds. And I'm very happy with this discovery, right? Because it explains a lot of things. And it might not be the ultimate truth. It might not be the end goal in heaven is not that I'm an Andromeda starseed, because the end goal is we are the light, right? We're one with God. We're back in the light. We're back in our full power. We're back in the oneness, in the joy of our oneness, and no form exists at all. Like, that's the ultimate, right? That's the end goal where we're going. But there are many steps to reach that end goal. And for me, having a 12D DNA, right? Having the DNA in me that enables me to realize 12D in the end, and to not just be born in a human body, but to have another possibility in me. That's something I really can resonate with, right? And also that not obeying the laws of space and time and society, where the Andromedan starseeds have problems with that too, to just have to live in something else than pure freedom. That's something I can resonate with too. And that's something normal too, because if you're an unlimited being and you're the light, you wouldn't do very well believing that you're a body. So what I'm saying is, all the thoughts that help you to reach freedom, to reach salvation in Christian terms, to reach the oneness, that's our truth. All the stories you make up are okay as long as they help you. What does not help you is to believe in a system that enslaves you. What does not help you is to believe in people who are against you and who will fight you and who want to fight you. What does not help you is to believe in a horrible alien race who makes experiments with you and holds you as slaves. That's all beliefs that are not going to help you. But you don't have to believe those anymore. As long as you believe something that is, how do I say that helps your progress. You just have to believe something that helps your progress. And then whatever that is okay. You don't have to judge yourself anymore, and you don't have to judge the other one anymore. You just have to, I don't know, find a certain lightness, find a certain way of playing with your old beliefs and with your new beliefs and with the reality you experience and with the reality you want to experience. I have, for example, a sister who very much believes in the Bible, like fanatically, and I experienced that it's very limiting for her, because there are all those rules she has and all those fears she has about Satan and all, and hell. So it can be a very limiting, even the best things like Bible, a thing that was made as a memory to guide us out of this world and out of limitation, can be used as limitation if you let the fearful mind use it. And therefore I encourage all of us to just be free and happy, and let the other ones be free and happy too. There's no need to judge. I can be everything, right? I can be the Holy Son of God and an Andromedan starseed. Maybe the Andromedan starseed is just a better story of myself, of my body, of another world I want to experience. It's just a better story than the one I had before, that I'm a human being who has been brought up by not very nice people. and now I've suffered trauma for all my life. That's not such a good story. The other story of being an Andromedan starseed is way better, right? Because it gives me more joy, and it gives me more freedom, and it gives me more understanding of myself. So it's just a better story about myself. And it's great that there are other people who also have that story, because it's a new collective consciousness that we share. It's a new world, or also the story of the 5D dimension. It's great, like it's a creation of the real world, like we're gonna create, and we have created, and we are about to experience another manifestation of our thoughts that's way better than we had before. Like before we experienced limitation, and now we experience freedom and fun and something different, right? And it might not be the ultimate truth. It might just be another step on the way, or another layer we add to our dimensions and to our perceptions, but it's a step in the right direction. So I just wanted to say, because I read about a question about someone posted something about Andromedan starseeds, and we're gonna ascend to the 5D world, and another person commented on it and said, well, I believe I'm God's child, and I believe that Jesus saves me. And how do those stories come together? Like, the one must be wrong if the other one's right, but that's not the case. Both can be right. I've been practicing the Course of Miracles for decades now, and that's my truth. Like, that's the truth, that I'm the Holy Son of God, that I'm the Holy Child of God. That's not something I have to choose to believe. That's just something that is. And so that's what I am. I'm the holy creation of God. God created me, like my mind, my spirit, my being, my essence. God created that. And then I did something with that gift that was not so smart, and I created the body as I saw it before, the body of limitations. And then Jesus comes in, right? And Jesus taught us, for as long as I can remember, Jesus taught, you don't have to be limited to death, you can overcome death. You don't have to be limited to rules, you can overcome rules. You can speak your truth, that you are the Holy Son of God, and not everyone's gonna like it, but that's still who you are. And even those who are not gonna like it, they can't hurt you. Because even if they do the worst thing to you and they try to nail you to a cross, you jump right off it. You roll the stone aside and you say, no, I'm still alive, like you can't touch me. My reality is that I created this body, God created me, and I made this body, and now I don't accept that I'm a body, I accept now that I'm free. And therefore you cannot limit me. You cannot kill me. I'm not killable. I'm not hurtable. I'm invincible. I'm invulnerable. I'm immortal. And that's what Jesus always taught us. It's been wrongly understood for a long time, but that's the teaching, that we are the holy child of God. We are one. And he said, love your brothers as yourself. He didn't say, oh, judge against those who try to hurt you. He said, no, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. They don't know who they are, and they don't know what they're doing. They still believe in an ego world that has to attack and that has to be guilty, but that's not the truth, and I forgive them because I know that's not the truth about them. They are holy sons of God, just like myself. They just temporarily can't see it, but I forgive them, and so I make the world one with me. I make the world forgiven. I make the world even unreal. I don't have to make it unreal. It is not real as long as it's a world of attack. But in my forgiveness of it, I can see its unreality. I can see that it cannot hurt me, and I forgive it, and I'm out of there. That's the teaching. And then, some people think Jesus was a Syrian Starseed who came to save the world, and that's very well possible. We are all different than we think. You can be a holy son of God and from Sirius. You can be a holy son of God and from Andromeda. You can be a holy son of God and of the earth. You are a holy son of God because God created us, and therefore we are God created. You have to imagine that you are made by God, like the stamp, right? Made in China. No, your stamp is made by God. And you can be, once you realize you're the holy child of God, you can be really joyful playing with it. And then you go and play on Andromeda, then you go and play as an Andromeda starseed on Earth, then you go and play as a tree, you go and play as a mermaid, you go and play as the ocean itself, you go and play as all the stars in the sky that you see, because you are one with everything. Like your identification is just a temporary identification. I'm temporarily identified with Doris, and I think I see the world out of the eyes of Doris. And I think to remember all that Doris experienced, and I think that that's me. But it's just a story. I might as well be something else. I might as well be everything at once. I might as well see the world out of the eyes of my pet, out of my beloved dog. I might as well see the world out of the particles that are everything. I had a beautiful experience when my grandfather died. I didn't see it as him dying. I just knew he dissolved into everything, and it was like, oh my God, it's so beautiful. I'm so happy. I'm so happy he is everything now. Like he was just all around. Like he's the trees and the air and the wind and the sounds and the music and the flowers and the joy. He's just the joy that is everywhere. Like it was not a sad experience. It was an experience of pure freedom and pure joy. We just think it is death, and we call it death because our ego minds try to make the worst out of everything. But in truth, for me, it was awesome because he just became free. He just became everything. And we don't have to wait to die to be that. We cannot die, we don't believe in death anymore. We can just transfer our consciousness to other perspectives, to other angles. We can be the grass right now. We can be the air right now. We can be an animal right now. We can be the other person right now. We can be our future selves right now, our higher selves right now. We can be all our past earth incarnations and planetary incarnations right now. We can be whatever we choose to be, and we can see the world as we choose to see it. We don't have to see it from our limited perspective. You are free to open your mind, to make yourself bigger and higher and expand your consciousness and see the world differently, see it from a different angle. That's your freedom. Isn't that awesome? So this is what I wanted to add in the end. It doesn't really matter what's your way of thinking, how the salvation came about is. Like, you have forgiven the world, I have forgiven the world. I finally can see I made this world up. I made a big mistake because I chose to make things not as God creates, but different from God, and that's how the whole world of guilt and of separation and of fear came about. And now I see I made a wrong decision. I can see that the world I see isn't real. I can see that I'm living in a gigantic hologram, in a gigantic illusion that doesn't have a grip on me. I'm not bound by it anymore because it changes as I change my mind. And so that's one thing. And finally, in the way of salvation, like, we can manifest many things. I also love to listen to Neville Goddard and Florence Scovel Shinn. And those guys are awesome. They've lived in the somewhere, 1920s, 30s, 40s. And they taught that, you are one with God, and therefore, if you create from your God being, you can create whatever you want in the world. And that's very good. Other teachers teach that too, like the whole, The Secret thing teaches that too, and that you can manipulate the world and that it follows your vision, it follows your choice. And that's a fun thing to do for a while. But in the end, if you think about what you really want, it must be innocence. Because what you really want, what I really want, is that the attack stops. That the danger and the threat and the attacking and the judgment and the crucifixion and the animosity throughout the world stops, and that all is love. Like, that's what we ultimately crave for, right? The love. So, and to reach that, like, my decision must be logically, only even if you don't feel it and see it, but the logical decision must be innocence. You have to choose that you're God created and that you are innocent. And then in your choice that you are innocent, you have to see that not only you're the one innocent being in a world of danger and of enemies. If you're innocent and you make the world you see, you have to see as you are. If I'm innocent, I cannot be innocent in a guilty world. Because if I see guilt, I'm guilty. I made that stuff up that I see. If I allow guilt, I feel guilty and I project the guilt outside. So my choice for myself and for all the world must logically be innocence. If I choose that I'm guiltless and I choose that all the other things and beings are guiltless too, then the world must logically, right, transform into a world of peace and joy and friendliness and oneness. Because if I allow myself to be who I am, the holy, radiating, shining, awesome, amazing, great, perfect Son of God, and I know that that's who I am, I cannot see something different than me. I must allow everything else to be that too, as God created us. I must allow everything to be great and radiated and shining and light and awesome and magnificent. I must allow everything that I projected my world upon previously. I must allow everything that I projected to be undone, and I must allow the things and the people and the beings, I must allow them to be as they are, as God created us. I must allow them to be as radiant and as shining and as light as we are in truth. So, and that's as soon as my choice is innocence and light, and I focus on that and not on the stories I make up and not on horrible stories and not on the limitations and not on the forms. As long as I focus on the form, I cannot see the radiance. But if I let the form go, and if I just allow the form to be something else, and if I ask it what it wants to be or what it is, if I just take my limiting beliefs off the world and I allow it to be what it is, well, then my problem is solved, and then all problems are solved, because then I'm light and everything else is light. And that's what I wanted to get at. It doesn't really matter how you get there. Like, you can get there through the realization of truth, but there are other stories that reflect that thing. Like, as soon as I could see that I'm the Holy Son of God, and there can be no enemy because I'm one and I can only be like I am, and like God created me, and everything else can only be as God created us, and then it's not everything else, because then it's one thing, because God created us like that. God created us like light, and so we must all be that, and then we are one God creation. And as soon as I could see this, then the stories in my newsfeed started to come up. Oh, the dark ones are gone. The dark ones left the earth. And that's why, right? That's why, because I allowed the light to be. And not just me, we are one, right? All the minds are connected. I'm sure all the other minds had some other choice or some other allowance or some other experience or some other opening too. As I had it, other sons of God, which is one son of God really, we all would have opened up as a collectively. I mean, the stories might differ for the ones. It might be the aliens, the dark ones that left the earth. For the other ones, the story might be as I just told you. Or for the other ones, it might be that the sun, I don't know, beams in and the ray of light will undo everything. Or for another one, it might be that the legion of angels aligned and they fought off the dark forces. It doesn't really matter what your story is to it. But the important thing is that the darkness is gone, and now there is light. Now we are light. Now we can live in freedom and in joy and in ease, because our chains have been cut off. We are free. The prison of our choice, the prison of our limitation, the prison of dark perception that we have placed upon us has been lifted. Like, I always see it as a cage. Like, there's a cage or a grid. Some also told me I'm a grid worker, and I didn't know what that means. Now I can see it's like our perception is like a cage, like a grid of form that has been placed upon the truth. So when I see a house, I know that the house is just artificial thing that has been placed on the truth. The truth is God's creation is light. And my perception is I see a house and it has a wooden door and it has bricks and all. And it's just a perception of littleness, of smallness, of insignificance that has been placed upon greatness. Like, behind that, if I let my judgment of the house go, and what that brick and what that wood and what that wall and what that roof and all the antennas, what that is, if I let that judgment go, then it can be what God created. So I forgot what I wanted to get at. Oh, just the grid. Like, as I perceive it, like my perception of the world as I see it is like a grid, like a cage that has been pressed upon reality. The reality of us all is that we are one, and that we are one. We are not separated by form. We are not separated by air. Everything's one. We are one. That's the truth. And my perception of a form has been put upon it. And now, gradually, we plucked it off. Like, we allow those things to dissolve. We allow the grid to be lifted, the cage to be lifted. And we are free to walk out of the prison of what we thought things are and what we thought we are. We are free to walk out of the prison and to experience a new world out of a sudden. And we're curious what that new world will be. And that's the story I wanted to get it right. So the stories might differ, why that it's so, that now there is light and before there was darkness. That doesn't matter in the end. What matters in the end is that now there is light. And that now we're all ready and curious to experience the new, right? We're curious to experience the new. And yeah, that's how I want to close this talk, I think. I'm just looking forward to what God's creation will look like. Bless you all. Have a nice day.